I'm Matt Platt.
I'm Shawn Walchef.
And this is Own Their
Phones.
So, Shawn, last week I'm in Las Vegas, and I was doing a little dancing there, just like that beat. But I was there for a restaurant. What do they actually call it? What did David Scott Peters call it? He called it the Restaurant Transformation Seminar. And I was there to speak, but also when I go to these events, I like to engage in them and take in what the owner's taking in, because there's no way I can get dumber. I mean, I'm already pretty dumb.
Hold on. Before you keep going, like, I saw your post about this conference, and I want to give you the credit that you deserve, is that the best leaders are always curious. And the amount of speakers that only go to speak and then leave, it blows my mind. And I understand the bigger the speaker, the bigger the keynote, it's hard. But like, if you have the ability to at least listen to somebody that presents before you and presents after, not only are you supporting the speaker, but like for me, every time that I have the opportunity, it's like, oh, that's why I show up when that guy's on Clubhouse. Yep. That's why I listen to his podcast. That's why I read his books. That's why, because I learned something. It's like, if we're not always learning, it's like a comedian. When you're going and giving all of these different stands, you should be improving your craft.
Yep.
You should be improving your presentation. And I'll learn something from you that you've figured out along the way. So more kudos to you for sitting in there and actually learning, but not only learning, because you didn't do it selfishly. You actually created content about how great this conference was. So kudos to you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's important. I've been to the same things you have, where the person gets out of an Uber, walks in the room, walks up on stage, talks for 45 minutes and leaves. And I'm a fan of, one, I want to hear what's going on. And two, I'm not naive enough to think that there's not something I should know about the restaurant business, even though this was an operations, recipe costing cards and budget worksheets. And I learned a lot. And one of my big takeaways was a slap in the face of how we failed at this. And you actually have this. I had never thought of it this way, but a lot of our clients don't. And one thing that David Scott Peters preaches about is that in order for him to work with a restaurant, that restaurant owner has to have an implementer.
I love it.
I had never heard the term. And I'm like, what is an implementer? And I'm listening to this, and it's the person that's helping David Scott Peters with his stuff with the owner and somebody in between that owner's not always available, and helping do some of the heavy lifting. And I started reflecting on that when I heard this, and I'm listening to people in the crowd ask questions, and I'm asking questions. And I got, man, how have we missed this since 2008? Like, I've never demanded of my clients, like, hey, like when Cali Barbecue came on with America's Best Restaurants, you have a couple people that I now know are implementers.
Correct.
But I'm looking at this like, man, how have we not made that a part of our business? It is now moving forward as of this week, as every client we deal with. Who else on your team is going to help us get these things across the finish line? But talk about how important that is to have a team. And you've got a lot of people in the restaurant space that are smarter than any of us on these damn phones.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation, because we have implementers in our business, but because our tech stack is so complicated for basically a single unit that's turned into a multiple distribution unit for Cali Barbecue. I mean, we have 2 ghost kitchens, 2 stadium locations. So anytime we're implementing new tech, it's got to go through an implementation process, but then it's, what do you do with it? Yeah. Because we use America's Best Restaurant, because we use Scott and we check in with Lisa, it's who's responsible on that end, because we have a whole media side. So I have Stover and I have Toby and I have TJ that work on the podcast content, the media content, the sponsorship side. And then I have somebody responsible for Instagram videos, Samuel, who's just responsible for Instagram videos, short form videos, TikTok for Cali Barbecue specific, but then who's looking at the Toast integration and the Ovation integration, and who's coming up with the weekly reports for Uber Eats, DoorDash. So like, as you go, you realize what kind of world we're living in. Yeah. We're living in a very tech forward world. And I know for most restaurant owners, they're just like, I don't have time for that. Yeah. So dedicating one person, which we would argue would be your digital hospitality specialist. This is the person that's boots on the ground that can implement the things to the team from one organization, whether that be a Toast or Ovation. Like, who is the point of contact? And it might be a different person. It might be a front of the house person. It might be a chef. It might be a GM. Like, but who is that person? And what I would argue, which I talk to social media agencies all the time, their job is to be marketers, to create content. Well, I argue that they need content creators, digital hospitality specialists, almost more than somebody that doesn't have it.
Yep.
Because we all need content, but we need to have conversations, open and honest conversations, where I don't have all the answers. I'm still trying to figure it out. That's why we do these shows, because Matt can come up with good ideas. He say, hey, I heard about this. What are you doing? And I go, hey, well, this is what we're doing. I don't think it's working, because there are things that your team is requesting of us, of me, that I know. I'm like, I need this to be happening, but it's not happening. Where's like something needs to change for the efficiency to happen. We create way too much content not to give the content that is needed for this Facebook promotion or this Instagram or this TikTok. Like, we need to tie it all together, which is why the whole idea was to work with America's Best Restaurant, so we can figure it out and then make it easier on restaurants. Yeah. As restaurant owners, we need to take care of the guests.
Yeah. And the big thing was the aha moment for me was just thinking about the simplistic nature of the implementer. I mean, our biggest struggle is getting content. And I think back to my favorite picture, we're on videos now, but back 7, 8 years ago, one of my favorite pictures was my daughter at the time. She's 20 now. She was like 12 or 13 on her phone, took this picture through a Snapchat filter or something. And it was fire. And I remember thinking, wow, like how many small businesses are missing the game on creating content because they don't have time. But I can promise you the average restaurant I go to has got 5 to 10 people in there that are probably way more in tune with that and the trends, the filters, the funny catchphrases, the songs that are popping that would make it even better.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's once you realize you have the media machine in your pocket and that you can give access that no one else can give, it's game changing.
Yep.
Because it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yep.
And I'll say that again. It does not have to be perfect. It will not be perfect.
Yep.
The sooner you understand that the video will not be perfect, the quicker that you can get to an implementer who can get it to the team, who can post it.
Yep. 100%. And I'll bounce an idea off you and see what you think of this. And I don't know if I've told you this or not, but this has been in the back of my mind for a while. And I've had 3 meetings this week on it. We have interns at our company. Mm-hmm. And I've had restaurant clients. I'm like, hey, go get an intern. And they're like, I can't find an intern. And so I started doing some investigating. And I found that, as a person that's in college, that's wanting to get a job after college at a marketing firm or an ad agency, an internship at Joe's Barbecue doesn't really look too sexy because they're wondering, like, correct, what is it? What did you actually do? Did you work in the restaurant or were you doing marketing? And then also there's a thought that I might get stuck on the fry machine versus creating TikToks.
Correct.
So I'm launching the first ad tomorrow, but we are using our staffed up account we have for our hiring for our company. It's actually a restaurant product, but we're using it for ourselves. And I'm going to create an internship opening every city we have a client. And I'm going to market this colleges and even high schools. Hey, we're looking for interns for America's Best Restaurants to work within a specific restaurant in your city. So that intern now has a coach on our end, has some training, and at the same time can look on their resume. And when they get out of college and say, look, I was a digital marketing specialist for a 1 location restaurant for America's Best Restaurants.
Yep.
And it'll look a little different. You think that would fly?
100%. I think it needs to happen. I mean, this is what gets me the most excited is the convergence of the creator economy with business. Business has always been there. Business owners, restaurant owners, original creators. These are the ones that created. But now we're in a creator economy where you need to know how to do video. You need to know how to do audio, words, images on the smartphone. So people are building businesses. Like the creators, they don't want just free meals. They want an income. But how do they get an income if they don't have proof of concept? Yep. So now how do you blend both of those? Well, you blend both of those saying, well, I have a need as a business owner for social content. This person goes, well, I need to get paid because I'm tired of getting free pizza for all these videos that I'm making. Well, how about you become an intern? And it could be a paid internship, unpaid internship, depending on, what state you're in, what the laws are. But nonetheless, now you get what you want and they get what they want, which is learning, boots on the ground, access to all aspects of the business.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's got some boots. I think it's got some opportunity. I look forward to rolling it out and seeing how we can make it happen. Well, cool.
Oh, love it.
Get an implementer, baby. And I love what you said. I got the word implementer, digital hospitality specialist. So digital hospitality implementer. Like, who's going to help you implement your digital hospitality? Because it is what it is. Like, you don't ignore a customer at their table. You shouldn't ignore a customer online.
And you shouldn't ignore a vendor online either.
Yep. Love it. That's what we got, baby. That's on their phones. See you next episode.
See you next episode.